Hi everyone, it's Miss Story. Today I'm going to read to you Fish in a Tree, chapters 25 through 28. So let's get started. Chapter 25, Celebration or Devastation. Mr. Daniels is wearing a tie with little trophies on it. He has a goofy smile on his face, even goofier than most days. Okay, my fantastic ghost, there's one among you who is even more fantastical than usual, and it's hard to do. So, we're going to celebrate. You see, when you all wrote those nature poems the other day, you had been secretly entered in, he puts his arms up and raises his voice, the first annual Fantastico Poetry Award. Oh great, another thing for Shay to brag about. I look over at Albert and hope that he will win instead, and he's hoping too. I can tell by how he pulls his chair in more, like he's getting ready. And I think that Suki has a good shot as well. So, Mr. Daniels begins, this poem is a splendid surprise, great work, and I am very happy to give it the first annual Pet Fantastico Award to... I watch Shay out of the corner of my eye. If she wins, we'll never hear the end of it. What she does doesn't make sense. She's so surprised, but is followed by disgust. Mr. Daniels' hand on my shoulder makes me jump. Congratulations, Allie, Mr. Daniels says. This can't be. It's too early for April Fool's Day. I look over at Albert and Keisha and wondering if they put a poem in with my name. Mr. Daniels takes a step back and says, come on, come claim your prize. Prize? I swallow hard. Mr. Daniels stands up in front of the room, waving me up. Well, what are you waiting for? And I stand up and I walk towards him like the floor will swallow me up. And I turn towards the class and he puts his hand on my shoulder. He holds the poem in his hand. I look to see that it is actually mine. Maybe I was just having a good day. I mean, it's about time I have a good day for once, right? Happiness seeps in. Have I ever really won an award? The thought of that would have been something from a sketchbook of impossible things before now. Me. So Allie is our first poetry winner for the piece entitled Rain, Rain. And he turns to me. Do you want to read it or shall I? And the paper crinkles in my hand. I'll read it, I say, happy that I've memorized it. Rain, rain, falling down, down, down on the ground. All the birds in the trees, they don't like the rain, you see. It doesn't take long, but it took me a long time to write, but now it's all worth it. There's a silence until Mr. Daniels motions to everyone to applaud. Albert and Keisha clap the loudest. Mr. Daniels motions again, and the applause gets louder. Oliver's slaps the desk until Mr. Daniels, pulling on his ear, calms him down. Looking out over the class, I remember some of the other poems I heard people working on. Really good poems. And then the whole thing hits me, and I finally get it. Mr. Daniels holds out a certificate with fancy letters and swirls around the edges. He also holds a coupon for a free ice cream in the cafeteria. I think of how happy Albert would be if I gave that to him. But I can't reach out and take them. And I look up into his face. He smiles and then winks, and I look over at my classmates who have stopped clapping. Shay has pressed her mouth into a flat line. Most glances at each other with knowing looks. They all figure that I don't know. This isn't a poetry award. It's a pity award. I look at Mr. Daniels, who gives me a serious nod, as if to say, go ahead and take it. They don't know. Getting an award for not being smart enough to deserve it is the worst feeling I've felt. Like getting this certificate is going to make me pat myself on the back and somehow transform into a different person. I swear that I'll never accept an award that I don't deserve. Never. Keisha calls my name as I run out of the room. Chapter 26. Stalling. I run into the bedroom and hide in the stall at the end. I stand, pressing myself against the wall, embarrassed and humiliated and never wanting to go back. The door opens and someone comes in. You okay? Keisha asks. No, I'm not. You won an award. Who in the world runs from an award? I'd think you'd be happy. I didn't. I didn't win for real. What are you talking about? She asks. Of course you did. I was there. No, trust me, I didn't. He's just trying to be nice. Why don't you come out of there? You don't understand. Just go away. You're right, Allie. I don't understand. I don't know why you're mad about an award. And I feel so much worse than just mad. Look, I say, when you get on your bike and you don't expect to hold Don't you expect it to hold you up, not fall apart when you pedal? Yeah, so what? Imagine if every single time you got on your bike, you had to worry that the wheels would come off, and every time you ride, they do. But you still have to ride, and every day. And then you watch everyone else watch you ride the bike go into pieces underneath you, with everyone thinking it's your fault and you're the worst bike rider in the whole world. Why in the world are you talking about bikes and wheels coming off? My brain, I say, leaning my forehead against a cold wall. My brain will never do what I want it to do. Come on, it's not like your brain is broken. So what? You're not the best speller. Your brain seems fine to me. You don't understand what it's like to be different than everyone else. Wait, have you noticed how different I look than everyone else in our class? It's not the same. Look, you're my friend, the best friend I have here, and if you want to say things like that and make it hard to be your friend, then, well, I'll just wait for you to come to your senses. Oh. You're talking like a fool, saying I don't understand what it's like to be different, but the thing is, I'm only different to the people who see with the wrong eyes, and I don't care what people like that think. I laugh a little. Albert says that the problem is that white people don't have enough melanin, and he says that's the thing that makes human skin darker. Well, that boy is bonkers, but he sure is a smart one, and she sounds happy. Now come out of there. I lean against the wall for a minute more because it's easier to say my next thing without seeing anyone. It comes from a place so deep inside, it's like coming out of the ground. I just want to fit in for once. I mean, I really do, just to be the same like everyone else. Keisha doesn't answer for a while. Look, you don't fit in, I don't fit in, Albert doesn't fit in either. Who says who fits in anyways? People like Shay? That girl is just mean, and who cares what she thinks? The stall door is still closed, but I smile as I imagine Keisha's expression. I'm lucky to have her. Come on, Allie. Who wants to fit in with people like Shay and her worse than awful friends? Thankfully, we'll never fit in with people like that. Keisha laughs again. And one thing for sure, we're not going to fit in, but we're going to stand out. All three of us. You wait and see. You're going to be a famous artist. Albert is going to cure cancer or invent talking fish or something. Talking fish? What would they say? Please don't fry me. I push the door open and her face is just like I imagined it. And you're going to have a big baking business, right? Maybe in my spare time. I'm also going to rule the world. I laugh, then swallow hard. Thanks for being my friend, Keisha. Don't go thanking me for that. Thank me for this. I'm going to go tell Shay that she has a spot on the back of her fancy riding jacket so we can watch her look. And then we can eat the ice cream that you won. Chapter 27. Half-Baked Afternoon. Keisha invites Albert and me over to her house for a surprise. When I arrive, Albert is already there and Keisha's wearing a baker's hat and apron. So when do we eat? Albert asks. No free ride here, Albert. We have to cook first, Keisha says, putting a cookbook on the table. Albert seems disappointed. You'll be able to eat, don't worry. And in the meantime, think of this as a science experiment. So it's two of your most favorite things, Albert. I'm pretty happy until she opens the cookbook and slides it over to me. You're in charge. Of what? The recipe, what do you think? What? Is she kidding? And Albert, you'll be in charge of rolling the dough. Going to try cookie dough today to see if letters cook at a similar rate to cake. I'm freaking out over having to be in charge of this book. I'd rather be in charge of teaching cats to play hockey. And my mind spins into that mind movie when I start laughing. Keisha asks me what I'm doing. I have to shrug and push the picture of a goalie cat with skates and a mouth guard out of my head. Allie, Keisha pokes me. Yeah? I ask, what's the first thing? Albert appears next to me. I'd rather do the book. You want to trade, Allie, so you can roll out the dough? Sure, Albert. If that's what you'd rather do, I don't mind switching. Albert begins reading the ingredients while I roll out the cookie dough. It's sticky and hard to roll, and Keisha points to the package of flour. Hey, sprinkle some flour on that. I manage to get the dough rolled out, but my doubt about all of this. And I look at the alphabet cookie cutters that she uses to make letters. What do you want me to spell? Well, the letters are kind of big for cupcakes, so it can only be a 3-letter word, so spell whatever you want. I spell cow because it's the first word I think of, and then stand the letters up at the bottom of each cupcake. and mold over them with a batter. Once Keisha slides the first batch into the oven, Albert says, "Can I have some milk?" Keisha shrugs, "Sure," and she says, taking a glass and filling it. Albert gulps it all down and asks, "May I possibly have some more? We switched to water in my house and I really miss milk." She hands him the gallon. "Help yourself." He sits with the milk and wraps his arm around it like he's protecting it. I laugh. "You're not getting that back, Keisha. I hope you know that." "I have a question," Albert says after licking the milk from his lip. "If you spell cow inside of a cupcake, can a vegetarian eat it?" "Boy," Keisha says, "you really take everything seriously, don't you?" "Hey," I turn to the oven, "is it supposed to be smoking like that?" Keisha pulls out a mitt, and when she opens the door, smoke fills the kitchen. The cupcakes have oozed all over the top of the pan and fallen to the bottom of the oven. It's a huge mess. She groans. "Oh, man." "You should wait until the oven cools before you wipe it," Albert says, and Keisha turns to him. "Yeah, thanks, Albert." "You're welcome," and he says, and she rolls her eyes. She's disappointed that cookie dough will not work for letters, and she and Albert figure out that cookie dough expands more than when we thought it would, and that's why it made such a mess. But I just keep thinking that whenever I write something, it turns into a big mess. Chapter 28, Deal of a Lifetime. "Allie," Mr. Daniels calls me to the classroom as the classroom empties for lunch. "Yeah?" I asked, heading over. "So I've been thinking a lot about some of the answers you give during discussion, and I love it when you share your opinions." "Thanks," I say, wondering why he really called me up here. "And I love your thoughts on Roy G. Biv, and I overheard you asking Suki about her grandfather and comparing him to yours." "Well, Allie, I'm really impressed by you." And I shrug. What am I going to say? That he's crazy if he thinks that I have anything for my brain besides a pail full of grasshoppers? "Really, you have a wonderful gift, and your explanation of lonely and alone, that was clever." And I glance up at him, but I stare at my shoes this time, and I answer, "That was just because I know about these words, alone and lonely. That's all. It was just an unfortunate stroke of luck." And he laughs. "An unfortunate stroke of luck, huh?" And I nod. "I see." "Yeah." "Allie, how many kids your age use the phrase unfortunate stroke of luck?" And I feel like a fish in a wire cage rather than a tank. "Can I go to lunch now?" "Not just yet. I'm wondering, do you ever think one word but a different one comes out of your mouth?" "Well, yeah, I guess." "Does reading sometimes give you headaches?" I nod, more nervous this time. "When you look at letters, do they seem to move?" I'm confused. "Of course they do." "They do?" His eyes are wide, and I nod, but I'm not sure if I'm supposed to. He just looks at me for a while, and I think I know how Keisha's cupcakes feel when she watches them in the oven. "And one more question," he says, and I shift my weight. "Have you ever heard of a game called chess?" "Yeah," I say, happy. "It's from Alice in Wonderland through the looking glass. My grandpa read it to me a gazillion times. It's a game that uses a checkerboard and castle pieces, right?" He brightens up. "Yeah, that's the one. Do you know how to play?" I shake my head. "Do you want to learn?" "I don't know." "Well," he says, leaning forward and resting his elbows on his knees, "I think you'd like chess. I can show you how to play after school, if you'd like." "I'd have to stay after?" And he thinks for a second. "Well, I was thinking of starting a chess club, and I thought you could be the first to come so I could teach you to play. And if it works out well, we can invite other kids. And that might be fun. Something different, It's not like I was born yesterday. I know he's up to something. Teachers don't volunteer to stay after school to play games." I kind of want to say yes because Mr. Daniels is cool, and I don't think that there's any reading stuff in chess. And my grandpa would have liked to know that I could play, but it scares me. "Well, I don't think so, but thanks anyways." He seems disappointed, and I turn to leave. "How about if I excuse you from homework for learning how to play?" I stop like my feet are strapped to a 1,000-pound box. What did he say? I turn around. "What's the catch?" I ask. "No catch. If you stay after to learn to play chess for a few days, I'll excuse you from homework on days you stay." "I'm going to have to write a paper or something?" "No papers, I promise. I just come here and play the game and I get out of homework. No catch." "Well, you can't tell anyone in the class, and I'll call your mom about it, though." And he holds his hands out to shake. "We have a deal, then?" Yeah, okay. I can't say no to that deal. Homework is only one step above death. I'm so happy about skipping some homework that I'll keep remembering it and being happy over and over again. But what really gets me is that in order for Mr. Daniels to come up with this plan, he must have thought of me outside of school, when he didn't have to think of me. And I bet other teachers never let me sit in their mind 1 second longer than they have to. So that's it for today, and I can't wait to come back tomorrow to read you some more chapters. See you later.